in this evening, we're going to have a presentation from each of our panelists. I will tell you who they are. So first, we will have Reva, right? Reva, you're first. Yes, that's right. Well, I'm not going to tell you what I thought I had, but anyway, that's what I have. Her name is Reva Silverman. She's the Vice President of External Affairs at HIAS, H-I-A-S, where she promotes their unique human rights mission by generating revenue and building awareness of the organization's work around the world. She has more than 20 years' experience in the nonprofit and philanthropy sectors, establishing and expanding diversified donor programs to promote human rights and religious freedoms, and largely through the Jewish and social justice organizations that she works with. She has been a director of development at American Jewish World Service, and she's also held senior development positions at the Nazareti Foundation and the New Israel Fund. She has a BA from Columbia University, a BA from the Jewish Theological Seminary of America, and an MA from the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy. She's a past president of Congregation Beth El in Norwalk, Connecticut, where she lives with her husband, attorney Abram Heisler, and their 3 children. So welcome, Reva. Next after Reva will be Chris George. He's the Executive Director of IRIS, I-R-I-S, in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut. He's been their director since 2005. IRIS stands for Integrated Refugee and Immigrant Services. It is a New Haven-based refugee resettlement agency that welcomes 230 refugees every year to Connecticut. In 2016, IRIS expects to welcome more than 400 refugees. So their services include finding housing and employment, coordinating health care, and providing language training, cultural orientation, and legal aid. He spent most of his professional life living in or working on the Middle East. Before returning to Connecticut in 2004, he spent 7 years in the West Bank and on the Gaza Strip with doing USAID contracts. He's also been the executive director for Human Rights Watch in the Middle East. He's also worked with Save the Children US in the West Bank and Gaza, and he's been the acting regional director for the Middle East region for that program. He's also worked with American Friends of Service Committee and Church World Service, mostly in Lebanon, monitoring human rights conditions and directing relief programs. He began his international career in 1977 as a Peace Corps volunteer in Muscat, Oman, and altogether he spent more than 16 years living in the Middle East. He speaks Arabic, Omani, so Omnia, so maybe, you guys can talk later in Arabic. Welcome, Chris George. After Chris, you're going to hear from Sana Mustafa, this lovely woman here. She is an exiled Syrian activist who was forced to flee the war in Syria 2 years ago. She started her life from scratch here in the U.S. She's currently finishing her 2nd undergraduate degree in political science from Bard College in New York. She already has a bachelor's degree in business administration and marketing from Damascus, Syria. Due to her background in activism in Syria and abroad, she does diverse advocacy work on issues related to the humanitarian situation in Syria and the Syrian Refugee Crisis. She's delivered many speeches and she's spoken at a number of panels about her journey fleeing Syria and the Syrian Refugee Crisis and the needed actions in the U.S. to welcome refugees. She's spoken at the National Press Club in D.C., at the Franklin D. Roosevelt Presidential Library and Museum at Hyde Park, and most recently she spoke at the UN, at the United Nations Association of the United States of America Member State in 2016. She's just started a program in Manhattan that is called BART, Globalization and International Affairs Program. So welcome, Sana. Each of our speakers are going to speak for about 10 to 12 minutes, giving you the information that you want to know. I advise you to just, if you can, take some mental notes or physical notes, because after they're done speaking, there'll be a time for a question and answer. I'll be moderating the question and answer as well, okay? And just pay attention, because sometimes the questions that you might have might already be answered by the presentations you'll hear today. So, I hope you enjoy your time with us.